Hello, my name is Kevin Hollifield, and this is my presentation over the founders or the iGeneration or Generation Z, also known as children, founders, or the iGeneration, as I had mentioned. This generation was born in 1995 or later. As of 2017, they make up 25.9% of the United States population, and by 2020, they will account for 1/3 of the US population. To put that in perspective, millennials were born between 1980 and 2000, so Generation Z can also be referred to as young millennials. When it comes to Generation Z and electronic media consumption, today relevant is constantly being redefined, and Gen Z lives in a world of continuous updates. With that being said, nearly 92% of Gen Z has a digital footprint. They want to be able to use any and all technology tools to enable every aspect of their lives. That can range from work, their personal lives, scheduling, and planning social events, etc. Huge consumption of content is used via mobile phones with Generation Z. They're not mobile first; they're mobile only. So, from a marketing standpoint, keep that in mind that when targeting Generation Z, use mobile only. I'll get to more of that here in a second. We're looking at founders versus millennials. Gen Z has always been plugged in since day one, so their attention spans might be significantly lower than millennials. Millennials have almost always been plugged in, but some of the older millennials were around when the internet was just starting up, so there's a bit of a difference there. Gen Z is the generation that was born using the internet and grew up with all the conveniences of modern technology and social media, iPhone, Netflix, Instagram, pretty much anything that's going on now. They've always been able to access it, and it's a norm. As I mentioned, Gen Z is mobile only, so the advertising not only needs to be relevant to the individual, but it needs to be served up at the right place and the right time in order to really resonate with the younger generation. Another difference I found that was interesting that can have an effect in the workplace. 41% of Gen Z, according to a study, say they would prefer to work in corporate offices, which I found surprising, while millennials would prefer to be working remotely. When we're looking at targeting someone from Gen Z from a marketing standpoint, as I mentioned before, Gen Z seeks uniqueness in all walks of life, primarily through brands that they do business with and future employers. So when you have a Gen Z individual who is doing business with you, it's important to make sure that that message is relevant. Since they're so exclusively mobile, they're very good at consuming information on that platform, so they have a high propensity to move through quickly, and if you don't catch their attention, they will move on. So as I mentioned, they're very efficient, and marketers and brands, it's critical that they understand that and keep up with that, because it's changing very fast, as we all know. And instead of looking to the older generations to understand what the younger generation will become. I think Gen Z is a little different, just because technology is evolving so fast. So I think it's smart for marketers to look at this audience to understand what future audiences will be looking like. Here's a quick look at the references I used and sources for this presentation. Again, this was on Generation Z, Founders, iGeneration, whatever your favorite term is, and I appreciate it and thank you for listening.